To begin redesigning the wayfinding for the science complex, I needed to understand what I was working with. The science complex is made up of 4 buildings, Brossman Hall and Nicole's house, with the 2 main being Caputo and Roddy. These buildings are, in actuality, joined into one, but are still considered separate entities. Roddy, built in 1964, spans 55,000 square feet over the course of 2 floors. It was named after alumni H. Justin Roddy and is home to biology, ecology, geology, computer science, and physics majors. In 1994, Brossman was built to add laboratory space for oceanography and geology students, as well as a few extra offices. In 1997, Roddy underwent major upgrades and expansions. This 88,000 floor-foot expansion was named the Caputo Hall after the current president of Millersville, Joseph A. Caputo. This expansion added 2 more floors on top of the new building, leading to the current floor count of 4. Caputo is home to the nursing department on the first floor alongside the Roddy Computer Science Wing, the chemistry department and a new expansion of the Roddy Physics department on the second floor, the biology department on the third floor, and finally, the meteorology students on the 4th floor. With all this square footage, there must be a lot of students to fill it, so I set out to find that number, multiplying the total number of labs and classes across the department by 20 to account for all the seats, and adding the total number of lectures multiplied by 150 students for each lecture hall seat. I came out with 2,298 biology students, 1,040 chemistry students, 440 computer science students, 1,150 earth science students, 440 geography students, 1,420 nursing students, 1,200 physics students. This gave me a grand total of 7,988 students per week. This comes up with 1,600 students per day, and a grand total of 120,000 students per semester, or 240 students per year, and that's not even counting one-time visitors, which jumps the total up to 301,200 total visitors per year. With all these visitors, the most common rooms were the 2 main lecture halls of Caputo 210 and Roddy 149, as these were also used for non-majors filling out their gen eds. However, finding your way through the building is not as clear-cut as it may seem. The signs are mostly universal, with a pinkish backplate and a green baseplate with white inlaid text. This is used throughout the 2 buildings, despite Roddy and Caputo being classified as 2 separate entities. When there are signs, it is impossible to tell which building you are currently in, as each sign is exactly the same, except for the restroom signs, which are a completely different sign form than the rest of the building, white with a red arrow. While occasional orientational signs are prevalent, there are almost no navigational signs. The only elevator I could locate that had an elevator sign on both walls was the 4th floor. First floor didn't even have an elevator sign on their 2 elevators. Around the hall, people had attempted to help out with navigation by printing out their own paper signs and taping them onto the wall, but this only served to add to the confusion. The first floor had even more problems with lights being burnt out in many places, especially in the nursing wing. There are a total of 3 entrances visible when approaching Roddy Caputo complex, with a path along the outside of Caputo that leads to 3 more. There is no clear main entrance except for Caputo, and even then the doors are not labeled as to what buildings they are. Caputo is labeled as Science and Technology, while Roddy is listed as Chemistry. And while the 3 doors in the front are accessible to the handicapped, none of the final 3 are handicap accessible. The nursing entrance and geology entrance are both down a flight of stairs, which flattens out into a nice area with seats and benches. But there's no way for a handicapped individual to access this area, even from the first floor itself. Even the greenhouse entrance, which is located on the same level as Caputo Rodney, is not a powered door. Navigating through the main building in a wheelchair, if you are not a recurring visitor, will leave you struggling to locate the elevators as none of them are marked. And unless you come at them from the correct side, you will not see them down the little hallway they are tucked in. The blind will not be able to locate classes easily either, as there is no braille at all throughout the building. And if you actually manage to locate the stairs, you may still be confused as to what floor you're on, as if you didn't know that you're on the 2nd floor when entering the building. Unless you see a room sign, you will have no clue where you need to be. The way I propose to fix this is to clarify the transition from Caputo to Roddy. I plan to do this by having the signage of each building be a different color, and with the colors will swap when the building swaps. In addition, every sign will have braille on it, to help those with lesser vision navigate the building. Important universal locations such as the tops of stairs, restrooms, and elevators will have a textured strip in order to help increase the navigation for those who are visually impaired. The lack of readability on current signs will be remedied by removing the inlay letters and replacing them with matte text on semi-gloss black paint. This, when combined with replacing the burnt bulbs in the nursing wing, will help increase the legibility. When exiting a stair, elevator, or entering the building, there will be a plaque across the door that lets the visitor know what floor they are on. On top of this, navigational signage throughout will be increased. To help with the visitability of stairwells, elevators, and restrooms, not only will there be a specific color for these universal rooms, but there will also be signs hanging from the ceiling pointing into these areas. We will also have plaques along the wall with braille for those who suffer from vision problems. When transitioning to the different wings in the building, the glossy metallic signs will be replaced with matte lettering to eliminate the glare caused by the overhead lights and prevent them from blending into the back wall. By looking at a pie chart, we can see just how overwhelming the main visitors are for the building. These are the ones we will be designing the new signage for, and the ones we have to keep in mind, as they will be the ones who see this on a daily basis. When designing the new palette, I decided to go with colors that are clearly different from each other. Caputo will feature a dull purple, Vrati will retain the original green, but more vibrant. The universal signs will be a magenta color, as it is clearly different from the other two. The font family that will be used is Sequoia UI, with semi-bold for minor text and bold for major text. The original landmark sign is okay, but it feels stuck in the past, and does not match with the new redesign for the science complex. To navigate this, I replaced the signage with a large plaque that keeps the original title of the complex, and on the bottom, I added directions to the separate buildings in the science complex. The markings that separate the wings is a shiny metallic that does not match the theme of the redesign, so I had to update it. I changed the lettering to a black matte color and moved it to just above shoulder level on the wall. The original room signage feels cramped, with very little breathing room, and there is no identification at all as to what building this room is located in. To remedy this, Caputo and Roddy will both have different color palettes with braille on the bottom for the visually impaired. Indifferent to the colors, each sign also specifies what building it's in, so even the colorblind will be able to identify the building. The current directional signage, much like the classroom ID, feels cramped, and it's hard to read from a distance. Not only that, but even though the auditorium is in the same direction as rooms 210 and 114, it is separated by a space. To remedy this, I split the sign into two parts, left on the top and right on the bottom. Not only does this group the correct directions together, but it also makes it more visible from a difference, as you know what direction the top is pointing. If directional sign is between the two buildings, the bottom will be the opposite color to match the building you are now entering. Universal signs such as the elevator, stairwell, and floor will not easily identifiable as non-class signs. To fix this, I changed the color and updated the graphics to fit into the new style. The restroom design never fit into the original signage. When fixing this, I started with the braille versions. I changed the sign that would be placed outside the entrance of the bathroom hallway and changed the bathroom sign text to add braille. For the bathroom overhead signs, I combined it with the elevator, as the restrooms are located next to the elevators. This hangs on the ceiling to enable you to be able to locate the restrooms and the elevators no matter which side you approach them from. The maps hanging in throughout the building blend in with the wallpaper, making them hard to spot. They are also very small and make orienting yourself very hard. To fix this, I more than doubled the size of the maps, color-coded it to help clarify the two buildings. The pink strip along the bottom ties together with the other minor signage, but also helps it stand out against the wall, drawing the eye to it. That is my redesign for the Caputo Roddy Science Complex building. I hope you enjoyed it.